Look at you scarred, shattered, and trying to piece yourself back together while the world watches, amused by your pain. They thought they won, didn't they? Those who tore you apart, who laughed when you fell. They wrote you off like a bad story, a tale with no redemption. But here's the thing about stories, they're never over until the last word is written. And trust me, your last word. It hasn't been spoken yet. You've been hurt, broken, betrayed by the very people you trusted. They turned their backs on you, left you bleeding, and expected you to stay down. They didn't just want to break you, they wanted to erase you. But God? Oh, He's not done with you. Not even close. See the ones who hurt you. They underestimated what's inside you. They saw your pain as weakness, your tears as defeat. They don't understand that pain isn't an end, it's a beginning. Pain is the forge where strength is born. Every crack in your soul, every scar on your heart. It's not damage, it's a blueprint. And when God decides to rebuild you, He doesn't do it in the shadows. No, He does it right in front of those who doubted you, mocked you, tried to destroy you. They'll have no choice but to watch as you rise, not as the person you were, but as something unbreakable. So let them laugh now. Let them bask in their false victories. Because when God rebuilds you, they won't be laughing. They'll be silent, stunned, ashamed, and powerless to stop the masterpiece you're becoming. Do you feel it? That ache in your chest, the weight that seems to crush you from the inside out. It's not just sadness, it's betrayal, disappointment, and the constant replay of moments that broke you. You lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how it came to this. The people you trusted, the ones you gave your heart to, they're the ones who tore it apart. They didn't just hurt you, they shattered your sense of self. They planted seeds of doubt in your mind, making you question if you were ever good enough. The betrayal wasn't just in their actions, it was in the silence that followed. They left you to pick up the pieces, as if your pain was your problem alone. And maybe, just maybe, you've started to believe them. But let me tell you something, the worst part isn't the betrayal itself. It's what happens afterward. It's the voice in your head that echoes their cruelty. It whispers lies, convincing you that they were right to hurt you, that you deserved it, that you're weak, broken, or not worthy of love, respect, or happiness. And that voice, it's the most dangerous enemy of all. Because it doesn't just hurt you, it controls you. It makes you replay every insult, every betrayal, over and over again until you're paralyzed by fear and self-doubt. You start to think that the pain defines you, that it's all you'll ever know. But here's the cruel truth, the world doesn't stop for your pain. While you're drowning in sorrow, the people who hurt you, they've moved on. They're out there living their lives, smiling, laughing, acting as if you never existed. They've forgotten you, but you can't forget them. That's the problem, isn't it? You're stuck in a loop. You're chained to the past, reliving the same moments that broke you. And those chains, they're holding you back from becoming who you're meant to be. You've started to believe the world's lies. The lie that pain is a weakness. The lie that your scars make you less than whole. The lie that you'll never rise from this. And because of those lies, you've let your pain consume you. It controls your thoughts, your actions, and even your dreams. But let me ask you this, how long are you going to let it? How long are you going to carry this burden while the ones who hurt you walk free? How long are you going to let their actions dictate your future? Because here's the truth, you don't want to face the pain isn't your enemy. Your enemy is the power you've given it. You've let it cage you, define you, and control you. But what if just for a moment you stopped seeing pain as a punishment and started seeing it as a challenge? The problem isn't that you're broken. It's that you've convinced yourself that being broken is permanent. You've let the world tell you that your story ends here, in the ashes of what you used to be. But it doesn't have to. The people who hurt you wanted to see you fall, and they're counting on you to stay down. They think they've won, and as long as you let the pain control you, they have. So ask yourself, is this it? Is this where your story ends? Or is it the place where your rebuilding begins? Let's face it right now, you're stuck. Stuck in the shadows of what they did to you. You've let their words, their actions, and their betrayal define you. You've become a prisoner of your own mind, replaying their cruelty like it's the soundtrack to your life. And the truth? It's ugly. You're not just wounded, you're holding onto those wounds as if they're a part of who you are. But here's the question you need to answer: how much longer are you going to let them win? Think about it. Every tear you've shed over them, every sleepless night you've endured, every time you've doubted your worth because of what they did, it's all proof that they still have power over you. They're not even in the room, and yet they control you. Their absence is louder than their presence ever was. Why? Why are you letting them own a piece of your soul? They don't deserve it. They never did. Yet here you are, clinging to the pain as if it's all you have left. And let's be honest with each other, you're angry, aren't you? Furious at what they did, but even more furious at yourself for letting it hurt you this much. You want to move on, to let go, but it feels impossible. Because deep down there's a part of you that's scared. Scared of what comes next. Scared of who you'll be if you let go of the pain. Scared that maybe, just maybe, they were right about you. But let me tell you something that's going to sting. The longer you hold onto this pain, the more you prove them right. The more you let their actions dictate your life, the more you show the world that they were powerful enough to break you for good. And that should make you sick, because you're better than this. You weren't put on this earth to be a victim. You weren't created to live in the shadow of someone else's cruelty. You were built for more, but you can't step into that greatness while you're still clinging to the past. So here's the challenge: stop hiding behind your pain. Stop using it as an excuse to stay small. Stop letting it define who you are. Because the truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life you're meant to live is you. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's unfair. But life isn't about fairness, it's about what you do with the cards you've been dealt. Are you going to fold, or are you going to play to win? Look in the mirror. Look at yourself. That person staring back at you, they're not weak. They're not broken beyond repair. They're waiting. Waiting for you to stop wallowing and start fighting. Because here's the harsh truth you need to face: nobody is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not even God. God will rebuild you, yes, but only if you take the first step. Only if you decide that enough is enough. So decide, right here, right now. Are you going to let them win? Are you going to let their betrayal become the story of your life? Or are you going to rewrite it? Because you can. You can take back the power they stole from you, but only if you're willing to rise. They hurt you. Fine. But they don't get to keep hurting you unless you let them. So stop letting them. Stand up, face the pain, and take back your life. It's time to show them and yourself what you're really made of. All right, now that we've faced the truth and called out the problem, it's time to talk about the solution. You're not here to stay broken. You're not here to let their actions or your pain dictate your story. You're here to rise. But let's be clear, rising doesn't happen by accident. It happens through a decision, a process, and a purpose. First, you need to understand one fundamental truth: your pain is not your enemy. It's your weapon. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it felt like the end of the world. But pain has a purpose. It sharpens you, hardens you, and prepares you for what comes next. The very thing you've been running from is the thing you need to confront head on. Think of it like fire. Left uncontrolled, fire destroys everything in its path. But when you learn to master it, fire becomes a source of light, warmth, and power. Your pain is no different. Right now it's wild, consuming you from the inside out. But if you take control of it, if you channel it, it will become the fuel that drives you forward. So how do you do that? How do you turn your pain into power? Step 1, let go of the victim mindset. You've been hurt, that's undeniable, but every second you spend blaming them or the circumstances is a second you waste. Blame doesn't rebuild, it destroys. You need to accept what happened, not as a sign of your weakness, but as proof of your strength. You're still here. You survived what was meant to break you. That alone is power. Step 2, take ownership of your story. You may not have chosen the pain, but you get to choose what happens next. This is your story, yours to write, yours to control. Stop letting the people who hurt you be the main characters. They're footnotes, nothing more. The spotlight belongs to you now. Step 3, rebuild with intention. Rebuilding isn't about going back to who you were before. That version of you is gone, and that's a good thing. The person you're becoming is stronger, wiser, and unshakable. But rebuilding takes work. It means identifying the parts of you that were broken and reforging them into something indestructible. Start small. Find one thing every day that brings you closer to who you want to be. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for the mistakes you've made. Maybe it's setting a boundary with someone who takes advantage of you. Maybe it's just getting out of bed when it feels impossible. Each small step adds up. And before you know it, you'll look in the mirror and see someone you didn't think was possible, someone unbroken, unafraid, and unstoppable. Step 4, use your pain as fuel. Every time you feel that ache, that sting of betrayal, remind yourself this is your fire. Let it burn, not to consume you, but to drive you. Let it remind you of why you're rebuilding. Let it push you harder, faster, further. And step 5, trust the process. When God rebuilds you, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not always easy, and it's not always pretty. But every struggle, every setback is part of the transformation. You're being molded into something greater than you've ever been. The people who hurt you won't recognize the person you're becoming. And that's the point. They broke you thinking you'd stay broken. But what they didn't realize is that you're not just being rebuilt, you're being reborn. So take that first step. Start the process. Trust that the pain has a purpose. And when the rebuilding is complete, the same people who doubted you, who laughed at your pain, will be the ones speechless in the face of your strength. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. The very people who hurt you, who thought they had destroyed you, are now forced to watch as you rise higher than they could have ever imagined. They mocked you, dismissed you, and left you broken, but now they're frozen in silence, witnessing your transformation. Can you see it? That's your future if you choose it. But let's go deeper. You're not just surviving, you're becoming something unstoppable. The cracks in your soul that once felt like weakness are now the places where your light shines the brightest. The scars you thought would define you as broken are proof of battles fought and won. They're not marks of failure, they're badges of resilience. Let me ask you, have you ever seen a phoenix rise? It doesn't come back timid or shy. It bursts forth from the ashes with fire, power, and purpose. That's the kind of energy you're stepping into. You've been in the ashes long enough. It's time to rise, but this time you're not coming back as who you were. You're coming back stronger, smarter, and untouchable. You see, rebuilding isn't just about putting the pieces back together. It's about creating something new, something no one can tear apart again. The pain you've endured isn't wasted. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, it's all been preparing you for this moment. Now, let's focus on what this transformation looks like. Imagine taking all the anger, sadness, and fear you've been carrying and turning it into fuel. Instead of letting it weigh you down, you channel it into power. Your anger sharpens your focus, your sadness deepens your empathy, and your fear teaches you courage. Picture this. The next time someone doubts you, their words don't sting. They bounce off you like pebbles against steel. The next time life throws a challenge your way, you don't crumble, you face it head on with the strength of someone who's already endured the worst and survived. And here's the thing, this transformation isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Deep down, you've always known you were capable of more. You've always felt that spark inside you, even when it was buried under layers of pain and self-doubt. This is your chance to ignite it. Let's get practical. Empowerment starts with choice. Every single day you have the choice to stay in the shadows or step into the light. Start with small wins. Set one goal every day that moves you closer to your new self. Maybe it's speaking up when you'd usually stay silent. Maybe it's taking time to care for yourself instead of putting everyone else first. These small victories add up to monumental change. And don't forget, empowerment doesn't mean you'll never feel pain again. It means you'll handle it differently. Instead of breaking under pressure, you'll bend and adapt. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, you'll see them as opportunities to grow stronger. Finally, remember this, you don't need validation from anyone else. The people who hurt you, their opinions no longer matter. The world doesn't get to decide your worth. That's your job. And as you rebuild, as you rise, you'll realize that your power was never in their hands to begin with. The process won't be easy, but nothing worth having ever is. The pain you've endured has given you a unique kind of strength, a strength that's rooted in survival and shaped by resilience. So stand tall. Feel the power building inside you. This is your time to rise, to shine, to show the world and yourself that nothing can keep you down. You are unbreakable, unstoppable, and ready to claim the life that's been waiting for you all along. Now, here we are. This is the moment, the point where everything shifts. All the pain, all the anger, all the broken pieces you've carried, it all leads to this decision. Because make no mistake, it is a decision. You have a choice: stay in the shadows or step into the light. Look around you. The world isn't going to stop for your grief. The people who hurt you, who betrayed you, who broke you, they're not losing sleep over what they did. So why should you? Why should you give them even one more moment of your life, your energy, your power? Here's the truth you've been avoiding: they don't define you. Their actions don't define you. What defines you is what you do next. Think about this: the people who underestimated you, who thought you'd never recover, they're watching, even if you don't realize it. They're waiting to see if you'll prove them right or wrong. And when you rise, when you rebuild yourself into something greater than they could have then they ever imagined, their laughter will turn to silence. Their doubt will turn to fear. But this isn't about them, is it? This is about you. This is about reclaiming your story, your identity, your power. It's about standing tall, not for their approval, but for your own. So here's your call to action: stop waiting. Stop waiting for closure, for apologies, for the universe to make things fair. You stop waiting for the perfect moment to start. The perfect moment is now. Take that pain, the hurt, the betrayal, the anger, and channel it. Let it fuel your fire, not extinguish it. Build something so unshakable, so undeniable, that nothing and no one can ever break it again. You want to know what power looks like? It's not revenge. It's not proving them wrong. It's standing in front of the mirror, looking yourself in the eye, and saying, I am more than what happened to me. I am stronger because of it. The world doesn't hand power to anyone. You take it. And how do you take it? By mastering yourself, by turning your emotions into tools, not chains, by stepping into every room, every challenge, every moment with the confidence of someone who's been through the fire and come out forged like steel. But don't just rebuild. Reinvent. Don't aim to go back to who you were before they hurt you. That version of you is gone, and that's a good thing. The person you're becoming is so much stronger, so much wiser, so much more powerful. Picture it. Picture yourself walking into a room, unshaken, unbothered by the whispers or the stares. Picture the people who once doubted you shrinking in your presence because they realized they didn't break you, they built you. Picture yourself achieving things they said you never could. Not for their recognition, but because you know you're capable of it. This is your moment. Take it. Because here's the reality: God doesn't just rebuild, He refines. He takes the broken pieces and turns them into something unrecognizable, something unstoppable. But you have to meet Him halfway. You have to take the first step. So take it. Decide today, right now, that you're done being the victim, done living in the past. Step into the power that's been waiting for you all along. Because when you rise, when you rebuild, when you take control of your story, nothing can stop you. The world is watching. Let them see what strength looks like. Let them see what resilience looks like. Let them see you standing tall, unbroken, unstoppable. This is your time, your story, your rise. So take the pain, the hurt, the anger, and turn it into the fuel that lights your fire. Show them no. Show yourself what you're truly made of. Let the rebuilding begin.